Jim, I got to hang with him in London and have dinner with him in New York at his beautiful apartment at the Sherry Manor, right by Central Park. I got to spend time with him. And he was always so down there and so wonderful. He was so giving. I mean, the first movie that I did, which was Labyrinth, first movie, I was 25. Brian Henson, his son, was 23. I was Brian's assistant puppet captain. The movie was done. We went to see it, the premiere of it, and I'm there, and all of a sudden, you know, names are coming up, individual, just single names, and then there is Kevin Clash. First movie. I mean, I'm like, really? I could not believe it, and he didn't say anything. He just, that's how he respected all of us. We were a part of. He was the boss, but we were all equal to him, and because he all felt as though we are the ones that's making the Muppets and Jim Henson.
It's like I can't explain it to you. I never imagined it would be this iconic. I knew it was something special. We knew it was something special. But the funny thing is like I tell people, I was at home and I was enjoying New York City in my little railroad apartment with a shower in the kitchen and doing voiceovers and doing Broadway and didn't even want to do a sitcom because I love the theater so much. So to have something be so iconically remembered from generation to generation to generation, we're talking 3 decades now. I mean, I'm 70. I was 35 when we started, 37 when I had my son. It means the world to us that you all have held us in such esteem. It was a timeless show, and it was a show for everybody. Every family can identify it, and we need more of that. Don't you think?
Yep.
Which is why Rizzo was my favorite character, because he's so easy. You know, like the lamp, not the rat.
That's right. Wembley is about 1 notch removed from Rizzo, and I don't know whether I can even do Wembley right now.
He's basically the same kind of voice, he's just a little higher.
You know, and I'm not losing it right now. Who else? Well, see, let me tell you about Beaker. So, Richard Hunt, who originated Beaker, passed away in 1992, and I did him after that for some number of years. When Richard did Beaker, he wasn't going like you would with a falsetto voice. He was sucking air into his throat. And I could try it, but I'm not sure I could do it. It was like, like that. So you're pulling air through your vocal cords, which is a nightmare. You know, it's like your whole throat turns the other way around, you know. You have to try that a few times before you can do it. And Richard would sing in that doing that crazy thing. And you guys know Kermit, of course. Kermit's here. And Ernie is very close. He's just a little bit more hollow and round, you know. So it's kind of like that.
But yes, on the battle disc, as you call it, the rotating disc, it's very complicated, and we rehearsed it a long time. Not really rehearsed it on the disc in its full elevation, basically on the floor. I think in its full elevation at the top, when it was rotated, probably 22, 23 feet something. And I know that's not high up, but you know, yeah.
Well, about 20 feet off the floor.
Yeah, but here's the thing. For stunt people to use, it was too low for airbags. It was too high for your basic padding, you know? So how did the English compromise in the middle? Boxes.
And Carol pulled us all aside when he was written in and said, you know how much I love these characters. I want us to have some discipline. I do not want to break the 4th wall. And I said, okay. You know what the 4th wall is, all of you? Okay. So we're going to be disciplined. I'm ready. Okay. So we get to that sketch, and who's the first person that loses? He starts on this elephant story, but none of which was in the script. And who's the first person that loses it is Carol. And she's in my lap looking up at me. And there are tears in her eyes. I'm like, what the hell? Anyway, so we used to do like 2 shows, 2 different audiences, and they were pretty much like live shows. There wasn't a lot of waiting for the audience, because Carol liked it to go. She didn't want to ever keep the audience waiting. So we would finish the first show, the production staff would have a big meeting and they would discuss everything they wanted to change. So the director would come by your dressing room before the second show and give you any notes that he had. And it could be anything like, we're changing the running order of the show, we've written a new joke here, your mark is changed in the finale, go out and find it. It could be anything. So he knocks on my door that night and he says, I have only one note for you. The elephant story will be different and good luck. My husband, who was the makeup man on the show, he's sitting on the couch in my dressing room, he's reading the paper, and I said, God damn it, how does he get away with this? And Al just put the paper down, he looked at me, he said, get him. And he put the paper back up. And I don't know, I think maybe Al unleashed that in me. I thought about it, and I thought, yeah, I'm gonna get him. So if you've seen the outtake, I waited and I waited. Got him.
I moved out immediately the day everything happened. I moved out and I had, fortunately, really great friends, so I found a place to live there. Then I rented out a little hotel room in an area and lived there for 6 months. And I moved out of the Simpson place sort of immediately, and it was just, I was scared.
So, I auditioned for Andy when I was 7 years old, and there was like an open casting call. They needed, a boy who owns the toys in Pixar's first feature-length animated film created with computers. And a fan recently told me at an event, like, wait a minute, you're the first voice we hear in the first Pixar movie, which is kind of cool and actually a total honor. And I was like, you're right, that's true.
In the script, he was supposed to be the strongest person that there had ever been. And so it had him picking up many people at a time, effortlessly. And I do remember doing a scene in which that was in the script, that he was supposed to pick up a couple of people. And of course he was, in case you don't know this, giants don't live a normal lifespan. And it's a disease, it's a disability. And I do remember very much a particular day where, because he was a fantastically good sport, and he was having a very nice experience because he enjoyed acting and never had a speaking part before. But very sadly, he had to admit, I can't do this anymore.
I think you're going to see, because at the end of the day, it is called show business, right? There's a whole business aspect and economies of scale that go into production. But, because I'm both a producer and an actor, so, I'm saying that with my producer hat on. Now, take that off. Hello, Jason the actor. What I'd say is it's always best to work in the actual medium, that you are, being performative in, right? So, like, if I were doing that scene now, let's just say in Back to the Future, and there wasn't a real house, and there's a LED screen in back of me, or a green screen, or whatever. I mean, it just would have it would have changed, I'm sure, some of the dynamic, or the energy. But me, I like being in the authentic, environment, and I hope that stays as long as it can stay, and nobody has a crystal ball.
Acting is essentially a play. Like you're playing, you want to be loose, you want to find and get into the flow of it. Sometimes if a writer's written something that's very strict by the book, you have to really stick to it. I understand that, and I'll always do that. But I like when I can find some improvisation in things, always, from the character, driven from the character's point of view, but his relationships with the other people or what's going on, because in life, certain things happen that you don't really script. You know, it happens out of nowhere and you have to just go with it. You get distracted by different things. So when you can incorporate aspects of life into a role or a scene, it does help, and I think it's a lot of fun.
For us, being on set was work. So I remember experiences. I remember, you know, it's like if you guys, when you go to work, you don't remember your work day, but you might remember who you had lunch with, because that was special to you, and it was out of the norm of what you did at work. So that's why I think that we don't remember a lot of like the little details of the show.
It is probably the most asked question that I get is to say, how rude. But I do have to charge everyone in the audience $5 for saying that. It's copyrighted. Money doesn't go to me, don't worry. No, it's definitely one of the most asked questions. And I can't quite get my voice up that as high and squeaky as I did when I was 5. Right. But I tried.
We just watched the Disney episodes last week.
Yeah.
We recorded those podcast episodes already. So we watched them last week. They really held up well.
Yeah. They were really fun, and you know, getting to what people ask me what was the most fun one to shoot. I kind of always say Walt Disney World, just because it was like going on a crazy family vacation with like, you know, 100 of your closest family and friends, and you're shooting a show and doing all this crazy stuff, but also getting to do like really cool things at Walt Disney World. So it's definitely one of those things I think back and I have like really great family memories from that trip. Yeah. But I will say that show, the things that happened in the Walt Disney World show were fabulously Tannerific. Yeah. Just things that would only happen to the Tanner family, and I loved it.
I kind of want to watch the other Disney episodes that like Step by Step did and Family Matters. Yeah, we should do a Disney review. Okay.
So when I read the book, I loved the book when I was a kid, right? But I loved it because of the power armor and everything like that. Sure. And I loved the military. My whole family was military, so I had a lot of respect and gratitude for anybody who's ever served or chosen to sign. So that's just something I grew up with. And in military school, it was required reading for us. I read it when I was 12, so I just skimmed through it for that. But then when I read the script for the movie later on, when I went, wow, how did I understand the satire when I was 12? And then I went back and reread the book, and I went, oh, it's not in there. Right. That's all. And Neumeier and Paul Verhoeven, who did RoboCop, that makes sense.
Right. I was hired, basically it's like, all right, we loved your first movie, One Dark Night, if you want to kind of go with that kind of feeling. I said, well, it's very gothic. I said, yeah, don't be afraid. I said, okay, what else do you want? Bring him back from the dead. And that's it. You can do anything you want. And they were of their word. I mean, anything you love in that movie, blame it on me. Anything you hate, blame it on me. Because they let me go, you know, and I let me look into the caretaker look into the camera and say to you all, you have a strange idea of entertainment. And which got us past critics, you know. They said, well, we can't hate something that's making fun of itself. And of course, years later, the irony was Kevin Williamson thanking me because without that, this movie, Scream wouldn't have happened.
I just remember it more like being on, I'm gonna kiss you. I don't remember the other part.
I think I said no Tom.
What's your favorite?
My favorite scene was actually watching you guys.
Oh, stop.
I'm serious. The first scene in Academy where he's at the ATM, he's going, and he goes, hello, 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 and then all of a sudden the music goes, hello, and I was like, that's the scene I love.
Does anyone have any? You can be loud again. I'm already crapped my pants.
Well, in that case,